Hi, I am Mayanka, the accounts and finance trainer from Uplatz. Today, we are covering the topic of accounting standards. What is the accounting standard? Accounting standards are written policy documents which are issued by expert accounting body or by the government or other regulatory body which are covered the aspect of recognition, treatment, measurement, preparation, presentation, and disclosure of accounting transaction in the financial statement. The accounting standard are those policy which are issued by, it may be by government, by accounting body, or by the any other body which are regulatory, and these accounting standards are cover all the aspect of recognition, treatment, presentation, and preparation of accounting transaction. Is that by the use of accounting standard we can understand how to present, how to prepare, and how to recognize the accounting standard in the financial statement so that the financial statement can present a true and fair view to the investors and for the other users also. The accounting standard is a common set of standards, principles, and the procedures that define the basic of accounting of a financial accounting policy and the practices. The accounting standard is a set of standards and it is contains many principles and the procedure. By the use of this, we can determine the policy and the procedure which can be used by the organization for the preparation and the presentation of financial statement. Is that accounting standard contains policies and procedure. ASR stand for ASR, those accounting standards which are very important for the financial reporting. Is that these are used for the purpose of financial reporting and are the primary source of generally accepted accounting principle as GAR. These accounting standards are the very much useful and these are the principal source of gap. Accounting standard specify how the transaction and how the other financial events are to be recognized, measured, presented, and disclosed in the financial statement. Is that by the accounting standard, we can understand how the financial transaction and how the financial events are to be recognized, measured, presented, and prepared, and how to disclose these financial transactions and these financial statements and events in the financial statement so that the financial statement should be so the financial statement present a proper view, and by the use of this the investor can take the proper decision. Accounting standards improve and maintain the transparency of the financial statement, because when we properly follow the accounting standard, then we can perform and we can disclose all the financial transactions properly. So by the use of accounting standard, we can improve and we can maintain the transparency of the financial reporting, as well as the financial statement will show the position which is in actual. In the United States, the generally accepted accounting policy from the set of accounting standards which are widely accepted for the preparation and the presentation of financial statement. In the United States, US GAAP set the accounting standard which are very much used and which are accepted for the presentation and the preparation of financial statement too. Is that the accounting standard is not only applicable in India but these are also very much useful for the other countries. There are the many other countries which are using gap, just like US gap, and for according to the country they are using their gaps. All international companies follow the International Financial Reporting Standard, which is known as IFRS. Is that in the case of international company, IFRS are applicable, which are set by the International Accounting Standard Board. Is that the IFRS are set by the International Accounting Standard Board. What is the importance of accounting standard? Why the accounting standard is applicable? Number one, for the smooth operations. Number two, protect the investors. Number three, promote the transparency. Number four, assess business performance. Because when we know and when we applicable the all the accounting standard which are applicable on the organization, and we disclose and perform and measure each and every financial event in the financial statement according to the accounting standard, then our financial statement present true and fair view. So the investor as well as any other person who are the user of such financial statement can take the proper decision. Number one, the user of the financial statement need an assurance about the presentation and the preparation of financial statement. They want to know about whether the organization is properly using the accounting standard or not. Is that all the transactions which are shown in the accounting standard or which are disclosed in the accounting standard are properly made or properly disclosed according to the standard of accounting. They should be ensured that the enterprises preparing their financial statement and properly follow the accounting standard which are applicable in this organization, because when they know about whether the organization is using the accounting standard or not, they can properly take the decision in the respect which is related, and they can take the proper decision which are related to the investment and any other decisions which can be taken by the using of financial statement. The next objective and importance of the accounting standard is it is provide true and fair financial information to the investor, contributor, lender, shareholder, creditors, and for the others. Because when we use accounting standard, then the financial statement will be true and fair, so that the investor, contributor, lender, shareholder, and the creditors and the other user of the financial statement can take the proper decisions. Applicability of the accounting standard is that when accounting standard will be applicable, the accounting standard are applicable on the enterprises. These enterprises may be corporate entities or maybe non-corporate entities. The enterprises are classified into three labels. Number 8, non-corporate entities. Number 2 is corporate entities. Non-corporate entities are classified in three labels. Number 1, label 1 entity. Number 2, label 2 non-corporate entity. And number 3, label 3 non-corporate entity. And in the case of corporate entity, there is only single non-SMC, small and medium corporate. Label 1 entity. What is the label 1 entities? Enterprises which fall under any one or more category, which are maintained which are mentioned below are considered as level 1 companies. Is that when there is any of the enterprises which cover in any of the mentioned point which are given below, then such organization or such entity will be considered as level 1 enterprises. Is that there are certain points according to which we can identify whether it is a level 1 organization or not. Number 1, listed enterprises, whether in India or outside India, is that if there is any enterprises which is listed whether in India or outside India, then such organization may be considered as level 1 enterprises. Number 2, enterprises which are under the process of listing. When there is any organization which is not listed but it is in the process of listing, then such organization will also be considered as level 1 enterprises. All the banks as well as cooperative banks, financial institutions, enterprises which are carrying insurance business, all commercial, industrial, and business reporting enterprises whose amount of turnover not including the amount of other income. Is that for the purpose of this criteria, we will consider only the amount of turnover. For the immediately preceding accounting period on the base of audited financial statement is exceed 50 crores, is that all the commercial, industrial, and the business reporting enterprises whose amount of turnover is more than rupees 50 crore, then such organization will be considered as a level 1 organization or level 1 enterprises. All commercial, industrial, or business reporting enterprises which is having the amounts of borrowings. Borrowings includes public deposit also in excess of 10 crore at any point of time during the accounting period, then such organization will be considered as level 1 enterprises. Is that if there is any commercial, industrial, or business supporting entity which is having the amount of the borrowings is more than rupees 10 crore at any point of time, then it will be considered as level 1 organization. Holding and subsidiary enterprises of any one of the above at any time during the accounting period. Holding and the subsidiary company of any of the above which are defined at any point of time during the accounting period will also be considered as level 1 enterprises. In short, listed company. Number 2 is the company which are in process of listing, banks, all the financial institution, insurance business enterprises, all commercial, industrial, and business reporting enterprises whose amount of turnover is more than rupees 50 crores, and all the enterprises who is having the amount of borrowings more than 10 crores at any point of time during the accounting period, and holding and subsidiary company of these enterprises. Then if one or more than one category is applicable on any of the enterprises, then such enterprises will be considered as level 1 enterprises. Number 2, what is the label 2 enterprises? Label 2 enterprises is a enterprises which is fall under any one or more category which are mentioned below will be considered as a label to enterprises. Is that if any of the organization which is covered in any of the point will be considered as label to organization or label to enterprises. All commercial, industrial and business reporting enterprises whose amount of turnover excluding the amount of other income for the immediate preceding accounting period on the basis of audited financial statement is greater than 40 lakhs but less than 50 crores. When there is any commercial, industrial or business reporting enterprises and which is having the amount of turnover immediately preceding the accounting period, and if the amount of turnover is more than rupees 50 lakh but not more than 50 crores, is that the amount is more than 40 lakh but it should not be more than 50 crore, because if it is more than 50 crore then it will be considered as a level 1 company. Then such organization will be considered as level 2 organization. Number 2, all commercial, industrial and business reporting enterprises which having the amount of borrowings, it is also include public deposits, is more than 1 crore but less than 10 crores at any point of time during the accounting period. Is that when there is any commercial, industrial or business reporting enterprises which is having the amount of borrowings and the amount of borrowings is more than rupees 1 crore but the amount of borrowing should not be more than 10 crores at any point of time during the accounting period, then such organization will be considered as label to enterprises. In case if the amount of borrowings is more than rupees 10 crore, then such organization will not be considered as label to organization and it will be considered as label 1 organization. Number 3, holding and the subsidiary enterprises of any of the above at any time during the accounting period. Is that any holding or subsidiary company of the enterprises which are covered in point 1 and point 2 will also be considered as label to enterprises. In short, label to enterprises are number 8, the enterprises which is having the amount of turnover excluding the amount of other income is more than rupees 40 lakh but the amount of turnover is less than 50 crores, then it will be considered as label to enterprises. Number 2, all commercial, industrial and the business reporting enterprises if the amount of borrowings is more than rupees 1 crore but less than rupees 10 crore at any point of time during the accounting period, then it will be considered as label to enterprises. And holding and subsidiary of these enterprises or these companies which are covered in point 1 and in point 2 will also be considered as label to enterprises. What is a label 3 enterprises? The enterprises which does not fall under label 1 and under label 2 are considered as label 3 enterprises, which enterprises cannot fulfill any of the condition or any of the criteria of label 1 enterprises and of label 2 enterprises, then such enterprises will be considered as Label 3 enterprises. Then, now we will discuss the list of accounting standards. Accounting standards are issued and amended by the Accounting Standard Board of ICI and for the preparation and the presentation of financial statement. Is that the accounting standard public AS are issued by the and these accounting standards amended by the Accounting Standard Board of ICI, and these accounting standards are very important for the preparation and the presentation of financial statement. List of accounting standards. Accounting Standard 1. Disclosure of accounting policy. It is applicable on Level 1 organization. It is applicable on Level 2 enterprises, and it is also applicable on Level 3 enterprises. AS2. Valuation of inventory. AS2 valuation of inventory is applicable on Level 1 enterprises. It is also applicable on Level 2 enterprises, and it is also applicable on Level 3 organization. AS3 cash flow statement. AS3 is applicable only on Level 1 organization. Is that the organization which is considered as Level 1 organization, then the AS3 cash flow statement will be applicable on such organization or such enterprises, and the provision of AS3 cash flow statement will not be applicable on Level 2 and on Level 3 organization or enterprises. AS4 contingency and the event occurring after the balance sheet date. AS4 is applicable on Level 1 organization as well as Level 2 enterprises and as well as Level 3 enterprises. Is that AS4 contingency and the event occurring after the balance sheet date is applicable on all the enterprises. AS5 net profit and loss for the period, prior period item and changes in accounting policies. AS5 is applicable on Level 1 enterprises, Level 2 enterprises as well as on Level 3 enterprises. AS7 construction contract. AS7 is applicable on Level 1 enterprises, Level 2 enterprises as well as Level 3 enterprises. AS9 revenue recognition. AS9 is applicable on Level 1 enterprises, Level 2 enterprises as well as on Level 3 enterprises. AS9 property, plant and equipment, PPE. Then AS10 is applicable on Level 1 organization, Level 2 enterprises and Level 3 enterprises. Is that it is applicable on all the enterprises. AS11 the effect of change in foreign exchange rate. AS11 is applicable on Level 1 enterprises, Level 2 enterprises and Level 3 enterprises. AS12 accounting for government grant. AS12 is applicable on Level 1 enterprises, Level 2 enterprises and Level 3 enterprises. AS13 accounting for investments. AS13 is applicable on Level 1 enterprises, Level 3 enterprises and Level 2 enterprises. Is that it is applicable on all enterprises. AS14 accounting for amalgamations. AS14 is applicable on Level 1 and Label 2 and Label 3 enterprises, is that it is applicable on all the enterprises. AS 15, Employee Benefits. AS 15 is applicable on all the enterprises, whether it is Label 1 enterprises, Label 2 enterprises, or Label 3 enterprises. AS 16, Borrowing Cost. AS 16 is applicable on Label 1 enterprises, Label 2 enterprises, as well as on Label 3 enterprises. AS 17, Segment Reporting. The provision of segment reporting is applicable on Label 1 organization, Label 1 enterprises, but it is not applicable on Label 2 enterprises and Label 3 enterprises. AS 18, Related Party Disclosure. The AS 18, Related Party Disclosure, is applicable only on Label 1 organization. AS 18 is applicable on Label 1 enterprises. It is not applicable on Label 2 and Label 3 enterprises. AS 19, Lease. AS 19 is applicable on Label 1 organization, is that it is fully applicable on Label 1 enterprises. But in case of Label 2 and Label 3 enterprises, the provision of lease are partially applicable. AS 20, Earning per share, EPS. AS 20 is applicable on Label 1 organization, but it is applicable on Label 2 and Label 3 enterprises partially, not fully. It is applicable partially. AS 21, Consolidated Financial Statement. AS 21 is applicable on Label 1 enterprises, but it is not applicable on Label 2 and Label 3 enterprises. AS 22, Accounting for Taxes on Incomes. It is applicable on Label 1 enterprises, Label 2 enterprises, and Label 3 enterprises. It is applicable on all the enterprises. AS 23, Accounting for Investment in Associates in Consolidated Financial Statement. AS 23 is applicable on Label 1 enterprises only. It is not applicable on Label 2 and Label 3 enterprises. AS 24, Discontinuing Operation. The provision of AS 24 is only applicable on Label 1 enterprises. It is not applicable on Label 2 and Label 3 enterprises. AS 25, Interim Financial Reporting. AS 25 is applicable only on Label 1 enterprises. It is not applicable on Label 2 and Label 3 enterprises. AS 26, Intangible Assets. AS 26 is applicable only, it is applicable on Label 1 as well as Label 2 and Label 3 enterprises. Is that provision of 26, provision of AS 26 is applicable on all the enterprises. AS 27, Financial Reporting of Interest in Joint Venture. AS 27 is applicable only on Label 1 enterprises. It is not applicable on Label 2 and Label 3 enterprises. AS 28, Impairment of Assets. The provision of AS 28 is applicable on Label 1 enterprises, Label 2 enterprises, as well as on Label 3 enterprises. AS 29, provisions, contingent liabilities and contingent assets. Provision of 29 of AS 29 is applicable on level 1 organization, but it is partially applicable on level 2 and level 3 organization. It is not fully applicable on level 2 and level 3 enterprises. On the basis of this, there are all the accounting standards are applicable on level 1 enterprises, and there are some accounting standards which are not applicable on level 2 and level 3 enterprises, and there are certain accounting standards which are partially applicable on level 2 and level 3 enterprises. All these accounting standards we will cover in our next video in details. So, thank you so much.